Hello, good evening, and welcome back. So, as the European Union crumbles, we're now seeing rationing come in place in the United Kingdom. Because when you don't allow economics and pricing and supply and demand to play its part, then you have to put in time restrictions because you can't put in the price restrictions. And that is what then causes the rationing to take place. Because you can't allow the free market to do its own thing and allow people to spend what they think the product is worth and amass as much as they see fit, and therefore they might be spending too much if there's then suddenly an increase in supply, and of course then they wouldn't be getting any more because they've got as much as they need, and therefore they're no longer getting it when other people want it. So it all balances out eventually, but it just depends on your time horizon and how great your time preference is, hence why rationing has been put into place. Doesn't help if you're trying to buy for a load of other people though, as I've mentioned before. But yes, the European Union is crumbling. Why do I say that? Well, pretty much all European Union states or countries, whoa, Freudian slip there, calling them their countries states, they have decided that closing the borders is for their own best interest. Well, of course, it is something that should have been done years ago, if not decades ago, but they have finally done it because of the virus. They've decided that, hey, it is actually possible to stop a foreign harmful invasion from entering our borders if we check everybody at the border and don't allow people in. Funny that, because the same works for ideas as it does for the virus. But on top of that, now that we see everybody is out for themselves, we had a shipment of 130,000 face masks due in for the UK, had to go through France, of course, who decided, yeah, we could do with those face masks. So they then impounded them. So now we're not getting them. France is keeping them. You've got a similar thing with the Czech Republic, impounding 100,000 face masks to Italy. And you've got Germany ceasing the providing of medical supplies to Switzerland. So now you've got someone from outside the European Union, Russia, providing support for Italy, because of course Russia closed its borders a lot earlier, so they're not nearly as badly affected as the other European Union countries. And that is the situation as we now see it. So each country within this whole European Union expansionism is closing its borders. So to celebrate 25 years of open borders, we're celebrating with closed borders, as Breitbart reports. Which is impeccable irony. But for the regular person within the United Kingdom, what we're seeing here is supermarkets limiting shoppers as the rules tighten. So not only is it rationing, but now it's the amount of people that can go into the supermarkets as well as how far apart they need to be spaced. So different supermarkets have different names for the people that are used. So at Waitrose, you'll be met by a marshal, while at M&S they're called greeters, as will also station more staff at its shop doors to greet customers. Their jobs are exactly the same, to ensure only a limited number of shoppers enter stores at any one time, in order to ensure that they're not too packed, which means they wouldn't be too close together. And in queues, you've got to remain 2 meters or 6 feet away from each other, which is about as far as your outstretched arms if two people. So if you need to hand something to somebody, then you can just about do it when 2 meters apart. Just about. So it does make sense. It's the longest distance that is acceptable for interaction. More than that, the supermarkets have given consideration for their workers and erected these anti-sneeze barriers essentially for their workers, their employees, and more hand sanitizers by their tills in order to keep them clean as well. The shopping, of course, as we all know, is for essentials, and it isn't just a regular activity anymore. It's just for the things that you need for definite or definitively. So only go there when you need to go there. Stock up for as long as you need. Given that we have no clear answer on how long the quarantine will be, some say 3 weeks, but this is still allowing you to actually go shopping, so it doesn't quite count. Others say it's going to be up to 18 months that we're expecting this. The US, their internal documents says you should always be prepared for a 3-month lockdown, so that's 12 weeks, so you should have enough food, water, supplies for 12 weeks. So best of luck with that. You really need to stock up, seeing as that the rationing is happening. You need to hope that the rationing they've provided is enough for you to be able to stock up. But of course, they don't want you to take it away from other people, because you don't want to have more than you need. And then it gets into the fun thought of, if you're preparing a stockpile for yourself, are you actually providing for yourself, or just providing for the strongest guy on your block? Because if they're able to overpower you, then you're just giving them things. If all should fail, as often does. So in order to keep their social distancing when it comes to queues, they've got little tape. So they say at Sainsbury's, there's tape marking out the correct 2 metre distance to maintain between customers in a queue. Tesco has lines on the floor around checkouts to help shoppers with social distancing measures, which is particularly pertinent given their time and space-saving measures of self-checkouts and how close they are to each other. Trying to then segregate them off effectively. I mean, in a way, it's good for the workers there, because hey, it's self-checkout, so you go do your thing. Just let me know when there's an unexpected item in the packing area, or you're trying to buy alcohol to stock up. And at this point, I think it's about time we all start going around alcohol. You can make your own within about 2 weeks on the lower end, and then longer depending on what other flavors and type of alcohol you're brewing. So you could definitely have a few different things going in different buckets. So that's what I would say. Go to the home brewers, maybe order things online, get your hops, get your champagne yeast for stronger alcohol and last longer. It's a better disinfectant. You could even get an air still if you want, and make your own spirits. You might as well get the process started, because then even if we're out of lockdown, it's nice to have your own beer. It might work out cheaper, especially if you're making your own spirits. So go ahead. Why not? It's a great time. And of course, you can't sell it without a license. But if everybody's on lockdown and people want it, then there's nobody to stop you from giving it to people who then might return with their own goods. You'd have a kind of bartering economy going, if you will. You provide them with the alcohol, and they'll provide you with bread or cakes or pizza or meat, whatever their specialty is. We'll just come down to a bartering economy. So use your skills as best you can, no matter what situation you find yourself in. Create something which other people will want, and be willing to barter and trade with people as you see fit. And then once we come out of this, you'll have developed some good friendships and relationships anyway, and probably developed some useful business skills to be able to take with you in a more productive endeavour. So go ahead. But back to the topic in hand. Online shopping is also facing difficulties. If you're trying to get deliveries coming in, then you're going to be waiting for a couple of weeks at least. Even Ocado, you had to wait to log in, and then once you've logged in, you need to queue again to shop. Even if you're just trying to do click and collect, if you change anything, then that might invalidate your entire order. So now you can't drive to the supermarket to collect your stuff from one of their delivery options at the edge of their car park. At the time that you wish, because you've changed something in your order. And then things go out of stock, of course, so you're not sure entirely what you're getting in these increasing times of uncertainty. Everywhere's incredibly busy. Of course, they are upping their workers in order to try and get everybody available to deliver as they can. Seeing as it is almost government mandated, well, it's just a very strong suggestion to say, hey, supermarkets, we're telling people to try and get deliveries in, so do expect greater traffic. So recruit more people as you can. Get that done. It's more hygienic that way anyway. So it's looking promising, at least, which is a positive, if you will. So they end by saying businesses that are allowed to stay open under the strict new guidelines include supermarkets, banks, pharmacies, post offices, corner shops, or market stalls selling food, and restaurants that offer a takeaway service. So obviously our supply lines have been disrupted more than mildly, but it isn't too bad that we're going to have people starving or dying of thirst. I mean, a capitalist country after all. We don't have bread lines, we don't have people starving to death. At least not on near the same scale as they do in communist countries. So we do have a fair amount of backlog in order to keep people fed and nourished, and we have ordinarily a greater problem with food waste, and that's going to be the same here. Once it all passes over, we're going to have a horrendous amount of food waste, because people will have stocked up and then not gone through their rations, and instead just keep buying fresh stuff, thinking they'll dip into their rations, but they never will, and then it'll all pass over, or the food will go out of date eventually, whatever it will be, and they'll just throw it away and never go through it. So the supermarkets will love it because, of course, they're getting their money because they're selling out. But the people who need it or would be willing to eat it won't be getting it because the people are stocking up and most likely not eating the food that they're buying. So, for what it's worth, now is also a time to learn to cook some new food, learn some different cuisines. I know that a lot of oil is out of stock at supermarkets, but you can still find different infused oil, maybe truffle or sesame oil, depending how exotic you're feeling. And being able to cook up something new with whatever dried food you can find as well. If it's cannoli beans, mung beans, turtle beans, even if it's buckwheat, quinoa, or couscous. Do try and find something, make some bone broth, use your stock cubes, whatever you can do. You might find a new signature dish that appeals to you predominantly, and then that becomes your staple of any family or friend cookouts that you have in the years to come. So, as with any difficulty, as with any challenge, it's always an opportunity to develop your skills and become a better person than you were the previous day. So, these limits that you're given actually have a way of fostering creativity, because then you're not starting from nowhere not knowing what to do, but you're actually being channeled in a particular direction, and therefore you've got to bounce off these barriers in order to come up with your new ingenious solution, and that's where creativity stems. So use these opportunities to make some new recipes, cook, and as I know some of you already have done, do take up these jobs for delivering, whether it is for one of the supermarkets or if it's for Deliveroo, a kind of takeout service, anything like that. There is definitely money to be made right now because people are in need and they're stocking up on a lot of food, more than they need most likely, and they'll probably throw it away. But as far as you're concerned, if you've got a buck to make, go ahead, do it. So until next time, things are looking better in terms of job opportunities and self-improvement, but do stay safe, because if the quarantine doesn't work, we will be looking at tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands dead. So, on a lighter note, keep doing what you're doing, stay safe, make yourself better than the day before, and until next time, have a good one.